Long arms, long legs, long torso.
What are your folks call them?
Long-winded.
Good morning.
My grandpa's 6'6". My mom is the same height as me, and my dad is maybe about that much taller than me. He's short for a man, but my grandpa is right up the height.
How tall are you?
5'9".
Did you play sports?
I did track, I did long distance, and I did hurdles. I played volleyball. I did softball.
I can see you being good at hurdles.
I did until I fell, and I never did them again. I felt really bad. Not really bad, but it just scared me. Every time I run up to
college.
high school.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to 3 different high schools, but here in Alaska, I went to service. I graduated from service. Oh, wait. Yeah, so I went to a military brat. We moved around all the time.
Where'd you live from here?
I was born here, and we came back every summer, so I never left Alaska really, but other than that, we lived in Arizona, Louisiana, Missouri, South Carolina, Louisiana.
What'd you like the best?
Friends-wise, Missouri, not location-wise. South Carolina, location-wise, I think. I was too young in Louisiana and Arizona to really remember.
Jerky hits the spot.
You know,
good,
I was like,
huh?
let me bring some crackers. I'm really excited. I need lunch after this.
We can't look at the computer in here.
What?
You get your phone?
Have I got my phone?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll email it to you.
Okay.
Text it to you, whatever my phone.
Sounds good. Hello. Hello. How's you, bro?
Awesome.
No, we.
Well, that's why I spoke with Bill.
Hey, hello.
Yeah, these all same size.
Oh, the same height? Yes, so you have to go kid?
Yeah, it feels a little low.
They don't have any adjustments on the thing.
No, they're short.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe they didn't.
You say short, I say just right.
Well, I'm short body. Over here, you tall body.
Right?
Yeah, but I got tall legs. And that
Yeah.
means my hands go up below my knees. It likes to keep going down till you hit that chair. It's
Yeah,
like,
don't want to get back up.
did you get it?
So you sold another one, did you?
Yeah.
Just doing an open house,
I
and
think I
somebody
did
walk in?
Yeah.
Good for you.
I'll take
Walked
it.
in,
Watching,
stayed the whole time.
Oh, there it is. Oh, that is
On
beautiful.
tour.
She was,
That is
she
beautiful.
was
could be
dead set.
pending
Yeah.
this evening.
She's already been pre-qualified, I'll take it.
No, she hadn't.
He's like,
She'd been looking, I mean, she
Yeah.
went to Missouri lot line.
Right on. Make my day.
Dowling,
Everybody
and
walked in
Been
like-
looking casually
Yeah.
for like the last 10, 15 years, she said.
And didn't have the purple
Yeah,
card.
it just hasn't.
on.
10 or 15 years, every couple of years, she'll get back in touch with the realtor. She's worked with a lot of RE/MAX agents, it sounds like.
Oh, those poor losers. I mean, what?
Yeah.
Sorry.
And
They just hadn't met Eric.
Yeah, right?
it
I
was,
had a client like that had different realtors, and they were looking for 3 to 5 years, and I didn't rush them at all. I was just like, when you're ready, you're ready.
But you know,
And they always, they do.
but I can tell you this proves in very many points, it proves open house works.
yes. Well, all my clients, actually,
Yeah.
you know, aside from my family, have been people I've met at open
Well,
house.
can I tell you,
Yeah.
the first 5 years, I did open house 50 weekends
Yeah,
a
that's-
year. And
That's
if
my
you
game.
don't understand that, unless you come armed with some kind of magic clientele that none of us know anything about,
Right.
I mean, that's where you meet people. That's where you make relationships. And then they see you and they come back and then they start referring you to other people. But until the day that your phone starts ringing and people are saying, I want to sell my house, you know, more than you have to go out and get the business because the
Yeah.
buyers and the sellers are out
They're out
there.
there,
Yeah.
And for me, aside from just not having a big database, meeting people that way, it's just great practice
Yeah.
to talk to people and like
Yeah.
actually engage with different
Yeah.
types of people because unless you've been doing it a while, you don't know how to really engage everybody. So
Correct.
need more exposure.
Yeah, and you know,
That's the best way.
I can tell you, we're golden, it looks like. I think so, I'm golden. It's working. All I can tell you is you just literally it's like striking up a conversation with someone you may or may not want to have in your life for the next 6 weeks. I sold houses to people I did not want to have in my life for the next 6 weeks.
As soon as you close,
We're see you out there. See you out there.
Catch on the flip side.
Yeah. Okay, so we are right on time.
Did she get qualified on Saturday?
She's getting pre-qualified today. Yeah, I actually try to get in touch with you over the weekend on Saturday. So I set her up with Chris because that's who I got through to. Yeah. I think she's.
I took my granddaughter camping this weekend.
Yeah, you said something on the
I
voicemail, I
lost 2
think.
calls.
Ugh.
Oh, you probably didn't have signal.
Oh, I didn't go to word at all. I didn't have any service. No
That's
internet, nothing. No
Yeah,
mail,
you had some on your voicemail saying that you'd be like.
probably
advertising.
unavailable.
Yeah.
Bummer.
Well, that's where you got county or
So I think sort of, I'm not sure if they're coming down with all their stuff or not. I said that I would talk about resales, which is good. Oh, good, here's, Billy, are you bringing stuff down or, okay, great.
I'll catch up on her.
I just need them.
I have
Oh,
a
okay,
plan
right on.
that took your guys' information in very pretty
So
for my open house.
I need to know.
You guys scanner. So you guys
it's
make
exactly
those?
the same as last week.
Great, okay, everything's exactly the same as last week, okay.
Got mine.
So I do kind of want to go over, oh good, we've got that statute too, that's wonderful.
So I don't want anybody to panic. Kathy's running a little late.
Wait,
Oh.
stop, wait, let me pick myself up, okay, I'm shocked, I'm shockered, but I'm okay.
But
All right.
she did ask me to go quickly over points.
Sure.
Robin and Amanda are on the way down here also. What's that? Yeah, nobody got points this week. No.
I got mine from,
A month ago.
Oh, stop now, that is not nice,
Nice.
that is not nice.
no.
Right?
So basically everyone is exactly where they were last week.
Okay, great. Who's winning?
Right now, Team 2 is winning with 665 points. Aaron is the captain of that team. Kelly, Carl, Megan, and Robin are all on that team.
Hey now,
Hey.
hey now.
It looks like Aaron is the high point getter too, 345 points.
Aaron,
I'm
what are you,
gonna catch up
what are you
to you.
doing? What are you doing, Aaron, to get all those points? I want to
I
hear.
got I did a lot of mailers earlier this session.
Did you good?
Yeah.
Okay,
Over
okay.
100, and then just
Can I ask how your mailers are working? Are you getting a response?
I'm not
Okay. Can I ask what you're sending out?
sending out the introduction letter and
Okay.
business card.
You know, that's gonna be a longer lead. That just really is. Okay, they're not, they are worthwhile to do. People will keep things like that. You know, some people will throw it away, but some people will keep. Can I ask you a question? How are you addressing the envelope?
With labels.
Okay, there's your mistake. There's your mistake.
Right.
Handwrite them.
I did it like 100 at once, and so.
I know, but do 20 a night and mail them out, or do 10 a night and mail them out.
Definitely.
This is exactly what Kathy told me too.
Yeah, your mistake if you do mailers, you guys, is,
Self-wrote.
well, yeah, because it's like it's a piece of junk mail. But if you handwrite something, it's much harder for somebody to throw it away. They're actually gonna,
And what I-
Yeah.
What's terrible about the labels that you get to from, MLS is great information, but it formats it with their last name.
Correct.
first, and it just looks like it's.
correct, but
It
you,
looks like a
but
mail.
actually, I can easily teach you how there is a function in Excel, yeah, that will
flip it around.
Well, it'll do last name, first name, and then you just move columns.
Dang.
I know, right?
Need
Not
that.
my first time. Not my first time.
So, another thing that I put in my first mailer was, the Jack White branded stats,
Excellent.
just for,
By the
kind of
way,
just
if excellent job. If you are going to remember, I always say this. I cannot stress this enough. Pieces of paper have two sides. If you're going to waste your time, I mean, if you're going to spend the time, no, I mean this with love. I mean, people feel like it's a waste of time.
Open houses, mailers.
Yeah. No,
Right.
not just that. Anything that you're going to print, you have another opportunity to put something else on it.
Right.
So anytime you have a piece of paper, you're going to write a letter or you're going to print out a letter, you've got another side to that letter. On the flip side, put something on the flip side. I think what you did is brilliant. Put the stats in there. Or if you don't want to put it on the flip side, if it bleeds through or doesn't make your letter look nice, then attach it.
So what, my next course of action now, with loving guidance from Mrs. Fernandez, is,
Whip.
I chose my neighborhood. I chose three streets in Independence Park that I go down all the time. So next step is to door knock with kind of just a CMA saying,
Yep.
Hi, did you get my letter?
Well, I would tell you, if I was going to do this, can I tell you how I would do it? I would do it in a strafing bombing run, okay?
Right.
And you're military, so you ought to get this,
Come on.
right? Okay, so I'm going to strafe the neighborhood first with postcards.
Right.
Then I'm going to mail out a letter that says, I'm going to be in the neighborhood.
Nice.
Then I'm going to try and go on an evening or a Saturday
Right.
when people are out in their yards. Why would I try and do that?
So that you,
not door knock.
I want to
You don't
meet
wanna do
someone
that.
naturally.
anytime I open the door, I'm defensive.
Yeah, right?
And
Like,
so if
right.
somebody catches
What the
me
hell
off
do
guard,
you
it's-
want?
Right,
Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah, why are you
So
on my
I want to
property?
try and meet people naturally out. And then you, since you live in the neighborhood, listen, you guys start listening for when the time I would run out is when I hear the lawnmowers go off Friday evening, Saturday and Sunday. When I hear lawnmowers, I perceive it safe to walk around in my neighborhood. And then I go talk to people. So now I'm meeting them naturally. The other thing, can I make a huge suggestion? You want to get yourself, if it's a shirt, if you want to have your name tag, I would have a professional little, that right there. Thank you. Okay, I would have, there you go, with home state.
For everybody that doesn't have one
Yep. Okay, if anybody doesn't have one, raise your hand and she'll get you one. They're magic. So then what you want to do is you want to have that with you. You want to have your own personal business cards. You want to have cards of lenders. I want to have, can I tell you another brilliant tip? I want to have, I would have gone through the neighborhood prior to going through and I would see who has their residential exemption and who does not.
It's a good
What?
idea.
Who has the residential exemption and who
And you
does
can, you
not?
can check that from the tax record.
I can check that from the tax records.
It's on your tax page.
And watch this, watch,
She
you guys
pull
want
it
me?
up right here.
yeah, worse than that, watch this. Do you guys know a little website called Anchorage Live?
Yes.
Anchorage Live is my friend.
I like it. It's lying.
So, sorry, just to reiterate,
Mhm.
mail out postcards,
I'm gonna postcards
send a
first,
letter,
then I'm gonna send a
saying
letter
you're
saying,
coming
I'm coming to your neighborhood.
then you come to the neighborhood.
Then I go to the neighborhood, but I'm gonna try and do it, if humanly possible, organically. I'm gonna try not to door knock. You, just like people can get extremely defensive. But if I do door knock, I'm gonna
Or
have,
we pretend we're not home.
correct. Well, anyway,
We.
well, she's not lying. Okay, and I'll just use my street as an example, right? This isn't what I want to do the residential exemption, but this helps me out. I'll wrap myself out, okay?
Actually, you can pull mine. It shows senior citizen and residential.
Does it?
Uh-huh.
Oh, there are you. Wait, come back. Where'd you go? There she is. There's that lady. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think this doesn't show it, does it? This doesn't tell me that
No,
I have a
you gotta
residential
go to the
exemption.
muni
You gotta
one.
go to muni.
You gotta do the meaning.
But why I like this one, FYI, just to give you guys a shout out, something that will help you out. Love you long time. Okay, so this tells me, I said it, and I'm good about it. I'll take the heat for saying that. Fletcher, Lounge Divana Fletcher. Okay, do you guys see the deed date right here? Why do I care about the deed date?
How long have they owned it?
Typically, well, no, it's not how long they've owned it.
Uh-huh.
This is the magic. It's not how long they've owned it. It's when there's a change to the deed, including what types of stuff? Quit claim deeds. What else? Refis. Okay. It doesn't mean that's how long they've lived in the property. It means that's the last time the deed changed.
So if there's a deed change, and then you see that they also were there before. the deed
Correct.
change, that's the-
Correct. I just might have gone and refad my house.
So I was curious.
I know. That's why but why I like this is this, if you guys get a map, especially if you guys get what we call the taxi maps upstairs, I'm going to tell you what I would do. I would, black and white copies are free, right? So I would take the map and I would start marking out when properties sold. It gives you a super interesting aspect into someone. So this property, they said, Anicia and Brian Farrell, the last deed change was 2012. Okay. Robert and Cara Lee Bray, their deed change was 2013. Okay. These folks, their deed change was 2007. What I'm looking for is who's the most likely person to move? The people who've lived there the longest. Or at least the theory being that they probably have the most equity in their home. What? Equity in their home might mean a couple things, guys. Yeah, down payment, list sale, right? After a certain period of time, these poor people have lived here since 1998. They are ripe for a move. As a matter of fact, statistically, they should have moved out of this neighborhood already.
Okay.
Statistically. Okay. Yeah, I'm just telling you, and why, it's something I might say to this family. Statistically, you should have already moved out of this neighborhood.
You up, yeah.
What's going on?
Well, this is our dream.
Right. Okay, and then good to know, but what's my point? Isn't it smart to know who's the most likely to move? Okay, then I can go and compare this on when's the last time. I can take this same information and have Flex up. Okay, I can see when's the last time the house was for sale. What? And then I can also see who sold it. Yeah, I can see that. And I can look at the tax records and see how long, it only goes back, I think, to 11 years now on our thing. So it's not showing all the way back to Jesus like it used to. And then uni.org, let me show you something if you don't know this already. This is my nextest favoritist. They move this all the freaking time.
I save it specifically.
I do too. I do too. Property appraisal division. Yep, you guys really should.
It took me like 20 minutes the other day to find it.
Save this page to
Yeah.
be your favorite.
Favorites, okay.
And so when you go to your favorites, it'll take you right back to this page.
Yeah, I just made it like a link on my phone. So
Good for you.
it's right after that, like now.
So again, if I'm gonna go door knock, you guys.
Yeah. I think I did that a long time.
She is. That's that lady.
There's a.
So there, it's going to show me that I do have my residential exemption, but it doesn't also. Here's something else though. It doesn't tell you how old I am. I am seriously getting ready for my senior citizen discount here any minute now. At least that's how I feel. I know, right. I know. So don't just think because they have the residential exemption that they might not also be able to take advantage of their senior citizen exemption or their what else disabled veteran.
Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, I would have those with me because if and does anybody know what this actually translates to as far as dollars? So this is how I get buy-in when folks on this. This actually translates into dollars. Does anybody know how many dollars?
How many?
$297, $300
A year.
$300 a year, or probably right around $2,000 for the $150,000 of residential exemption.
It really wasn't as much as I thought it would be when I finally looked into it.
Yeah.
I was kind of disappointed, but it's better than
Well,
kicking the head.
but $300, what can $300 do for you and your family? I mean, for my family, that's more groceries. For my family, that's a couple of months of my gas bill being paid. That's 3 months of my water and sewer bill. And I'd sincerely rather my family have it than
But it's a service.
Yeah. In the municipality, I mean, and it's available. And what if they take it away? Right?
So this is a result of a questionnaire, yeah, right?
Well, we were talking about how to do mailers more effective. So if I'm going to go do this mailing to this neighborhood, I'm going to send the postcard out first. I'm going to send the letter out next saying that I'm going to come to the neighborhood. I'm going to door knock. I'm going to warn people that I'm going to come door knock. I'm going to try and meet them organically, if at all humanly possible, by them being outside and it being the weekend. I think you're going to have a lot less hostility with people if you meet them naturally or on the weekend versus if you come knock on my door at 5:30 at night. Okay, I'm probably not going to be a nice person to you on a Thursday evening. Right? Okay. And then I would wear my name tag. I would have lender's cards, my cards, and I would also have a CMA of the neighborhood done that you could hand out. And I would do the statistical CMA, so I could just hand it out, but I would also have my information on it so that they could call me and follow up with me if they would like me to do an individual CMA. That is how, my friends, it's a layered approach, but that's where you're going to get people to talk to you. Just coming and knocking on my door, I don't necessarily think that that's the best way to meet people.
Are you saying you would have a CMA in your mailers or when you're walking door?
I would have them when I was walking door to door, and I would also have the resident. And the way you would win me, not slamming the door in your face, is saying, especially if you could save me that $297, which I'm going to round up to $300 just because I'm going to do that, or if you could save me $2,000. Now you have my attention. Now you're somebody I want to talk to. Okay. Otherwise, do I want to talk to you? That's a case-by-case, moment-by-moment basis. Also, you might also find out that the person who's living in the property, this is my favorite, is you find out that they're a renter. You a lot of times would have no idea, especially in any neighborhoods, whether or not somebody's a renter. Why do I care about whether or not somebody's a renter? Well, if they're sitting here paying $2,000 a month to live in this house, why wouldn't you pay $2,000 a month to live in your own house? And there's another flyer I would have with me, how much does rent buy you in a home? Okay, that's what I would do. Okay.
And they should call Kelly.
Yes, and get
So we wanna
pre-qualified.
talk about resale certificates?
No, not at all. Okay.
You just listed an entire neighborhood.
You- Sure.
Before we jump to
Of course you're welcome.
Before we jump to resale certificates, Billy's going to talk about our teams, how the team's doing.
Oh, we already did that.
Oh, you did that?
Yes.
That's where everything started.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's where it all went off the rails.
Team 2,
Who's that team leader?
Aaron Asbury.
Of course.
Did I say it right?
Yes, yeah, thank
And who's the
you.
highest ranking on the
It's Aaron.
Aaron,
what?
mailers.
Which is-
That's where it
Then it
started.
all starts with me, because I've put out a lot but haven't had any success, so, and now I know why.
Well, Billy has done a mail out to his neighborhood, and next, you want to tell them what you're going to do next?
Next is where we went, is that door knocking's next with the CMA.
The information.
Yep.
Right.
And it's his own neighborhood, so he can legitimately say, I'm your neighborhood. Okay, so then, since y'all have done all this, let's just go around the room, starting with Teresa.
Yes, ma'am.
And you've got to say your name and the burning question, is everybody logged in on Teams?
I'm not in control of this packet this week.
Well, you are in control of the points, all right? Okay. Has everybody turned your points in? No. All right, well then, Aaron's team winning may be totally overruled, since points aren't in yet. So everybody get your points in. Anyway, starting around the room, Teresa, say your name and say yes or no if you've ever lost a transaction over a resale.
Teresa J. Block, I've lost more than a few.
Mindy,
More than a few.
Robin Hayes, I have, yes.
you've lost,
Well, just recently.
yeah.
Billy Worthy, I have not yet.
Amanda?
Amanda Lee, not yet. Megan Ticknor, not yet.
Abraham, no, yeah.
Not yet. God, I love this, not yet. You just know it's coming.
Aaron Asbury, not. James Preston, yeah.
Kelly Grandmother, Upstate Mortgage, yes.
Tiani?
Tiani Bradner, Alyeska Title. I don't have the privilege of making or breaking deals, I'm the one that is available to you to call.
Sorry.
To ask questions of when you're reviewing your resale certificate. Or direct your customers to call.
Have you all noticed how even more beautiful Tiani is? You want to stand up and do a twirl for us,
No.
please? Okay. Tiani has lost some weight, and let's tell them how you're doing that. That's amazing.
Very carefully doing a food log, and I joined a running group. I was able to get a couple of my other medical, not issues, but things that were causing me pain out of, taken care of. And so I was able to resume running and joined a running group, which has helped me stay motivated.
And you lost
25.
Isn't that amazing? And I'm Kathy Fernandez, and yes, I've lost transactions over resale certificates. So Teresa's here to help us today. Carl's not feeling well, and he is our go-to guy for resale certificates. But Teresa probably knows even more than Carl. So
I sincerely doubt that. I
Anyway,
don't know that.
I want to tell you two quick stories, which is why we're having this meeting today. We had a property that we sold in South Anchorage in a high-end neighborhood. And there's an association, so we got a resale certificate. And the truth is, with resale certificates, in the past, we process them, we send them to our buyer client, ask them to review it, tell them they have 5 days to review it, and we have them sign that they got it, and they have 5 days to review the resale certificate. And frankly, other than maybe on occasion looking at their budget, I generally don't look at anything else. It's pretty thick, and I kind of rely on my buyer to do that. If the buyer says, I don't know what I'm reading, then what we do is we get the buyer on the phone with an association manager. At least I know the questions to ask. And we ask questions, and usually we move forward with happily ever after. The biggest concern I have for the buyer is if there's going to be any special assessments coming up, sometimes restrictions on pets. And of course, the lender, with the lender's eyes on a transaction, we also will learn eventually if there's going to be problems with the funds that are being collected being too low for maintenance purposes and keeping the property up. Is that correct, Kelly? Okay, so we sent this resale certificate out, and I asked Carl to review it because he's good at that, and I'd never taken the time to review it that closely. And Carl discovered that there was an assessment against the seller. Certain amount of money assessment for something they had done wrong, something to do with what they'd done to the property. And so I put Carl on the case with the other realtor. The sellers are overseas. Sellers did not know there was this fine against them. So over time, we got to the bottom of it, and the association had, instead of saying no issues with the property that would have created assessments or a fine, if you will, they put the word that there were issues. So they just typed it wrong. But this would have gone clear to closing unless, I think, Kelly, you're doing alone on this one. This would have gone clear to closing unless your people would have caught it, because no doubt your people scrutinize these more. And so the association had just typed something wrong. Carl caught it, and I would never have caught it, although these people would have caught it. That was number one. Number two, this is even worse. So we sold the property cash to a young widow. She looks like she's 12, so naturally we've been very concerned about how we work with her, because she was easily taken advantage of. She received a lump sum of money, and all she wanted to do was just own her own home. So we did a resale certificate, and now I'm really smart. I just said, Carl, look at this. Carl looked at it. I don't want any responsibility. Carl looked at it, and he discovered that the insurance had expired. It was the wrong unit they sent this to resell for. And there was about four things that were not correct with this resale certificate. Again, I probably wouldn't have caught it. We would send it to the buyer, and if I'm not going to catch it, I'm sure she won't catch it. And there's no lender's eyes on this property because it's cash. So huge responsibility. So Carl gets a hold of the listing realtor, and the listing realtor gets a hold of the association, and the association says, you paid us the money for the resale certificate, but the way we work now is you have to go online and you pull the docs off yourself. So the listing realtor did that and sent them to us, and they were still all incorrect. Over and over, they were incorrect documents. The associate said, no, they're not incorrect. Just go online, you're not doing it correctly. At the end of the day, what was online was totally incorrect, outdated, and it didn't stop. So it's all been well, in the process, before we could even correct all the problems with the resale certificate, our young buyer intelligently said, oh, no, I don't want to buy this property. I don't want to be part of this association. The sellers weren't happy, of course, but we all know that she's entitled to her earnest money back. We made a case for that. They wanted to keep her earnest money. We said, you can't. I think I did copy gave one point of this. If I ever sense that I'm going in a bad direction, or there's going to be potential legal entanglements, I always think give a copy to keep them informed sooner than later for purposes of solving problems. So anyway, our buyer backed out. Seller did release the earnest money back, and now the seller wants to go after the association. So given my story, talk to us about resale certificates.
Well, sure. And there's two separate issues too that we do want to talk about. First is what a resale certificate turns into. It starts with what's called a public offering statement, and that starts when you have new construction or you have a new subdivision, typically, that's going to be owned, and they've decided to go under common interest ownership. Okay, which means that they have to go through all of the legal ramifications of actually putting an association together. It has to meet certain legal guidelines in order to do so. And until the association has sold out 51%, the builder is actually in charge of the association or holds the public offering statement. Once a property has been resold, okay, or once you phase out into the 52%, okay. Until the subdivision when it's new construction, you're still going to get a public offering statement. Then when it resells, you're going to get a resale certificate. You can have any kind of combination of association. You have very, very strong associations. You have very, very weak associations. You have associations where people are super eager to have more say and control over the properties that they live in, and you have associations when people are really not that interested in being a member of the board. So as an owner of any kind of property owned in common ownership, you are automatically on the board when you go to your homeowners association meetings. You're automatically a member. So just by owning, you get a vote. Okay, tons and tons and tons of people. Anybody in here owned, so let's say, for example, a condominium. Okay, how many of you are active in your board? I have 2 people in here who are active in your board. And I'm going to ask you some questions. Why are you active in your board?
So I stay on top of things that are happening, the things that we need to do, owner occupancy, that's a big deal in my subdivision.
And can I ask why?
Financing.
Mm-hmm. Don't make me pull it out of you. Talk to me about it a little bit.
There can be more renters than owners. There's a percentage in a condo association. There has to be a certain amount of owners.
And if you exceed the number of renters versus owners, then all of a sudden I start to lose the ability to finance my property using the most, I won't say popular loan types, but common loan types, and using loan types where people have low to no down payment.
So our board now can tell a seller no that he cannot rent out his property. And I was president for about 6 years.
And so, and if you are living in a property in common interest, you really care about this stuff. You really care about some of the cockamamie things that your association wants to do. You really care about the fact that the association sometimes will decide to go and do things that are unimportant, not do things that are important, or all of a sudden, if you wonder what starts happening with dues, what starts happening with dues? Typically, I have almost in my experience, I don't think I've ever seen an association where dues went down, with the exception of when a special assessment was paid off. That's the only time I've ever seen where dues go down. Just, you guys, cost of living, and just so you know, probably 10 years ago, I think my water and sewer bill was $60-something. What's your water and sewer bill now if you have one? Mine's $97, I think. $97
Just water?
for just water and sewer.
Is that quarterly or monthly?
Monthly.
I had no
Monthly.
idea.
So just over 10 years, just individual water sewer service has gone up 30 bucks, right? So that's a lot, almost 25%, right? So that's a lot of money. So that's why dues sometimes will go up. The natural cost of items or services provided to the association will go up. But long story short, when you sell a property that is in common interest, one of the things, if you're going to be a listing licensee, there's some pretty common questions people are going to ask you. There's just some common questions. So what do you think is some of the most common questions when it comes to a resale?
How many dogs do we have?
Pets is huge. Restrictions, like what are the restrictions that I might need to know about? Can I put an RV? Can I have, what's your, we call it, some of them will call it an architectural control committee.
Number of occupants in the property.
I have not seen
You know,
that.
this particular one that I cited,
Yeah.
she read something in the resale certificate that I think limited her, the number of people that she can have living there.
Very interesting.
Oh,
I have
I'm
never seen that in a resale certificate, but by no means do I read them all.
What they're trying to avoid is, a
Families of 20.
a family of 20 in a 2-bedroom condo.
And 16 cars.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But you want to think about the stuff that's very, very common. First of all, I want to know, this is one of the things that gets misquoted the most, in my opinion. What do the dues cover? What do they not cover? What do they actually cover? There are any number of different associations out there, you guys, and they're all done differently. So when they decided to assemble their common interest community, they may have been what we call a full service condominium or a less than full service condominium. You might hear these called as site condos, okay? Site condos out there have very limited amounts of money that they cover, very, very small amounts. So they might cover roofs, maybe. They may or may not cover, typically they cover painting, and they might do driveway repairs, maybe asphalt every 5 years or something. But they, what's that? They do not do snow removal. They typically don't do lawns, and they don't cover, you literally, you may come with a plot of land and you own it. You own the entire property to your party wall. Okay, so a lot of people don't understand that. They think they're buying into a condominium. They think that they're super excited it has low dues, and then they find out that it doesn't. The dues don't cover what they thought or assumed the dues would cover. So number one conversation I'm having is, and I don't rely, and you all ought to not do this too, lazy real estate is practiced every single day and twice on Sunday. That is where you just go to the previous listing, copy over what they said the dues covered, and then that's what you say the dues cover. What you really should do is actually contact that homeowners association. Also, the next thing I want to know is, here's the next thing that will catch you out all the time that I see as a mistake in listings. You don't accurately reflect what kind of financing is available for the condominium association.
Just a phone call.
Yeah, I mean, can I get a witness? Woo! I mean, you need to accurately describe in your listing documents. And you guys who are showing condominiums, when you're out there, I don't believe a listing. I'm sorry, when it comes to condos, I don't believe it. I don't believe what they say the dues cover, and I don't believe what kind of financing they say is available. Also, you can call up an association and find out, well, we just submitted our FHA, is it the review, or what is it? We just submitted our approvals. We just submitted those. You know, so you all of a sudden you find out that the financing is in, I like to call it flux. You know, you may or may not.
Take 30 days to 3 months.
Oh, good night. Okay.
So let me ask everyone, when a condominium has limited financing, what does that do to the value? Who knows, besides Teresa? So in other words, you have a condominium with full financing, right?
HFC.
Here's your buyer pool, Alaska Housing.
HFC, FHA, VA, and conventional cash.
So here's your buyer pool with full financing. With minimal financing, this is your buyer pool. So now the value has gone down. And a lot of sellers don't realize that.
And you can get involved, or even encourage your buyer to get involved with their association to make changes, get them back on that FHA approval list, or Alaska Housing. housing. I've done that many times, worked with the association to try and do that. Kathy's right, the margin narrows completely with all that financing going to go.
Yeah, what's the main reason, Teresa, that an association would not want to go to the trouble to get the extra financing? What's the main reason?
I would say it's owner occupancy, and I also might say or they have a hang on. When they're taking dues and they're putting it into accounts, thank you God, I couldn't come up with that for anything. Their reserves might be at issue.
Right. What do you have?
Simple things is the fidelity bond has to cover the board, that has to be sufficient insurance-wise. The insurance has to be satisfactory to cover the property. They can't be more than 15% delinquent dues, and the over occupancy is one of the issues.
What is-
Reserves in the budget, I
Reserves.
already said that, the reserves in the budget are a huge deal now, much more so today than it ever has been, and the appraiser will actually look at that very strongly.
And I've also heard boards say, or associations say, well, we tried to get the additional financing for this association, but the board members voted it down because it would cost extra money.
It doesn't cost any money.
No.
It doesn't
Oh,
cost
I've
any
heard
money.
that.
Well, it could though, it could cost money if they
If they have to increase
say
their
their
fidelity
reserves are
bond.
short.
Maybe
So-
that's it.
Oh, okay, there you go. I was going to say, I'm sorry, the process doesn't cost any money. That's
No,
what I was saying.
process
Yeah.
doesn't, but to
Okay.
get it to standards to be acceptable
Gotcha.
might cost each homeowner an increase in their dues by $20 or something.
And also, I will tell you, dues are a really big deal. You know, when you start seeing dues that are car payment size, you guys, that's the other thing that really starts to affect purchasability. I mean, when you start looking at, and therefore the price as well. So if you're looking at a condominium complex where the dues are $400 a month, that's a lot. You would want to also see that those dues covered that amount of items, okay? Sometimes what that indicates, I'm not saying always, I am saying sometimes that indicates it's an older association that may or may not have some maintenance items. So at one point in time, when somebody comes up with these budgets, you guys, sometimes I think they are much better if you have a professional organization, they'll go out and get bids. So they'll know what something actually costs. Sometimes you get people say, oh, well, those driveways, that's going to be $25,000. You know, so they underestimate what they're going to need. Then they come up to do some work and they find out, oh no, that $25,000 that you reserved is actually $100,000. And or
You said you used to manage an association.
No, I used to be part of it.
Can you share some layer of this subject, pros and cons?
I don't know how, I mean, I don't know if I could share my time. I don't know.
All right, I didn't want to overlook you because
Okay.
you had knowledge, so I didn't want to.
Well, a lot of times what happens is basically when I was part of a board, everybody their concern was to keep the dues down. You know, they didn't want it to become like what I would like to call a real association. And
but you live in a site condo.
yeah,
You live in a site condo. So naturally the dues are already they're already lower.
and I was pushing for us to have a little more reserves. But I think what they mainly focus on is to try to keep them down so that more people could benefit from it and more people want actually will desire to live there due to the fact that they come with.
And the other thing that you're really going to notice too when you go to certain condominium complexes, and you'll drive up and you'll start to see it, because once you start showing condos, you'll start to see kind of a theme. You see some condominium complexes are very, very well maintained. You go and see other condominium complexes don't have the same, they're not following the same rules and they're not keeping up the same standards. When you have a condominium complex, you guys, that doesn't keep maintaining itself, you're going to really start to see a correlation between value or sales price and saleability of that condominium complex. Okay, so you just have to, all of these things are factors. A lot of times you have to really think about, and I talk to buyers about this all the time. The other thing that you want to talk about is, are you going to be comfortable living in what I call a dorm-like setting? Okay, are you going to be happy living with people in that sometimes you're sharing not just walls, sometimes you're sharing complete floors with people. I mean, have you been into apartment style condominium complexes around? So sometimes that means you're going to be enjoying each other's music and what each other's having for dinner that night, and each other's children. And laundry. Animals. Oh, and laundry. Oh, okay. Do I want to do it? So the question is this something that someone wants to buy into? I mean, that's really important, because this is kind of I call it a lifestyle. When you're really going to buy a condominium, unless it's typically there are one that I'm aware of, there's probably more. There's one single family condominium complex in Anchorage and Southport that I'm aware of. There could be additional ones. Does anybody else know any additional ones?
When you say single family.
Single family?
Freestanding.
No, I'm saying single family homes that are in a condominium complex.
Isn't Sturbridge?
I don't think so.
Westport in Cottinghamshire.
No, they're in South Park.
Oh, yeah, those
Southport.
Peterson homes in Westport.
Yeah,
But they-
started.
Those are duplex style
Those are
condos.
duplex style.
Do they have
Yes,
single
they have
family?
family
They
ones,
have-
yeah.
They're like little birdhouses. They're cute.
Okay.
Oh,
They're
they
not-
have houses?
Yeah, yeah.
For now and
Gotcha. Right.
I showed a couple.
And I'm just trying, I'm sorry, I'm trying to, if we sit here for a minute, I'll probably think about, there's an entire neighborhood in Southport that are single family condos.
Mhm.
You know, one thing that I did notice it when I was in the board, how far money really goes. And a lot of times when I look at these condos, and when I look at the condos in Sonam, they don't make sense. Because I mean, when we first started over there, we were paying $98 a month. I mean, and we are a pretty large unit, you know, and I was surprised of how far our money could go. And some of these places are like way smaller than the condo situation over there, and they're like $300 and $400.
But that's the difference between a full service and a limited service condominium. But
But
they cover water and sewer bills, they cover, some of them cover gas and electric or other, they cover utilities typically. Also snow removal and landscaping. So if you add, and trash, thank you, if you add all those things in, then your dues would in theory be exactly the same.
But you know, like mainly seriously, this is just my house I live on. We don't pay for sewer, we don't pay for water, we don't pay for trash. I mean, they clean our roads.
It's still $98 a month.
Well, it's $107 a month. I mean, it's incredibly low. They clean the snow. I mean, the only thing they don't do is they don't do paint. We have a paint assessment and we have a roof system. I mean, seriously, $107, I mean, basically covers everything. And
Insurance.
how?
No, they have dues, yeah.
How are they coming up with
Brookside.
$400 on sixplex, you know, or on places like this, that I'm like, really? How did you come up with that number?
Well,
We're so
you have to realize, as was stated already, these are created very differently. Many of them, all of them are created differently. Some can have common area electric for common areas that are inside the building. Common area heating and gas, possibly street lights that might be, the electric has to be paid and the street lights maintained by the association. There's just a myriad of differences in some of these associations.
Which is,
The older the properties are also, the more maintenance they need, and so the typically be higher as
And you
well.
definitely have the right to test it or ask for a breakdown of it, and they should be able to hand it to you pretty quickly to see what the breakdown is.
plus they also have budget versus actual, and they have to audit their financials, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, but let's get to what should come in a resale certificate. So, and resale certificates right now, by the way, you're going to get them in all different forms and formats, which is super interesting and has been really exciting for us. Boys and girls, we used to get them in binders. Sometimes one binder, sometimes two binders. Okay? Paper. They came in this thing called paper. Okay? Well, me and the dinosaurs used to have paper. Yeah. Oh, binders. Like, oh, wow. Crazy. Now they're coming in, I have seen them on CDs. I've seen them on USB ports. I've seen somebody came up the other day with this like paper looking thing, and it turned out it was a what? It was crazy. So you can get them in any myriad a number of different ways. Kathy was just saying there's an association right now that's going to charge you the same amount of money, but ask you to go online and pull your own documents together. How sweet it is. It is. But there, the common interest ownership laws, of which Kathy was so kind as to give you the statute on the resales of units right here. She's got the statute from there. And she's got a little bit of some condominium association in 2016, Spring Forest Homeowners Association.
That's the one we were talking about, that they just typed the word.
Oh, gotcha. This particular, I just was able to help someone with a Summerstone resale certificate. Typically, they're going to have these different tabs that you're going to see. So this is done by a professional property management company. We always like to see professional property management companies involved in homeowners associations. Every once in a while, you're going to get a wild hair where someone is going to decide to self-manage an association and let the stories go downhill from there. Typically, they don't meet regularly. They stop taking copious notes. They don't do them in the proper format. They don't keep up their financials. They just become a mess. Also, you do need to know that there is such a thing as an abandoned associations out there. They do exist, where people, for whatever reason, had an association. I will say the places I've seen them in is not so much in like a community, but I've seen them where up on Hillside, where there were 6 or 10 different houses. They had a homeowners association at one time, and they all decided to stop having the association. I mean, I've seen I would call it an abandoned association.
And that creates lender problems.
Correct.
We had that with Somerset last year, didn't we?
Yeah, and I was thinking Alpine.
Yeah. So occasionally people just stop.
Exactly.
You know, and the reason why people ask me all the time, why didn't they take it apart? Because you got to get an attorney, and the homeowners are not going to agree to go pay for legal bills to take something
and
apart.
Title gets nervous about that because title has some responsibility regarding whether or not there's an association.
There's a specific process we go through to determine whether or not association is active versus inactive.
So am I correct in that you don't like the inactive ones?
We don't like inactive ones and we don't like self runs.
Yeah. So those are the two that are going to
They give you the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, they're going to cause you problems. They're going to cause you problems. Okay, so Summerstone, so there's a disclosure. There's what we call the declarations. Oops, I'm not going to, I just did it. I moved a tab. Can I undo?
Yeah.
I used to have a,
a
gosh darn it, I didn't. I'll mess with it later.
Okay.
So declarations, bylaws, and resolutions. One of the things I think a lot of people need to really understand, but oh my gosh, when you look at these house rules, there are 462 kilobytes worth of house rules, boys and girls. Okay, a lot of them have really, really long house rules. Their declarations are sometimes 600 and 800 pages. No, you as a real estate licensee are not going to read this. Okay, but what you do need to do is you need to have a familiarity with how a resale certificate needs to look, what it should have in it, and you should be able to. I like what Kathy was doing. I'm going to actually call with the client on the phone, talking to the homeowner association. I like that a lot. Typically, I'll tell you what I've done in the past. You're going to tell me all your concerns about the association. I'm going to type up an email. I'm going to send it to the property manager. I'm going to CC you on the email showing that I asked all the questions that you asked. Why am I not going to answer those questions myself?
Liability.
Liability.
Well, one of the reasons is I think your story was the most apropos, that the documents that they provided you were not accurate. So I don't really want to sit here and while I think that some of us could sit there and look at something and say, okay, this isn't correct. I don't really want to take that on. And I probably, if some of these are 800 and 900 pages, this is not light summer reading. This isn't a thriller. This is awful reading. So I'm probably not going to do this. Articles of incorporation, insurance. This is a big deal, you guys. The insurance information. Certainly, let me point you to a homeowners association in town where insurance came top of mind to all of us. I'm going to go to downtown Anchorage. Does anybody know what they're called?
Oh, you have a listing there. I know a lot about it.
Yeah, me too. I know a lot about it too. Does anybody know what that? Would you know what that?
Inlet.
No.
Place,
No.
Is
I can't remember, that's why I'm asking.
Oh. All I know is it was a nightmare because I.
The one by,
Yeah, the one right by Sagaya here called
Burned it
Park
down.
Place. Park Place.
Place.
Yeah, it's right next to Henderson.
Park Place, okay.
No,
Yeah.
on the same side of Sedona.
No, across the street.
Well, I know, but it's on the west side of.
Oh, there you go, thank you, okay, I'll give you that. Yeah, different street.
Tell the horror story. about
So here's what actually ended up happening. So first of all, the homeowners knew that they were underinsured. They knew that they were underinsured. The homeowner, the association manager had been telling these folks they were underinsured for a long time. However, this was an older condominium complex, and guess what? Guess what the owner board members did not want to do?
They
They didn't want to spend the money.
And, but these are upscale.
Yeah, these are
Yeah.
nice.
These are not $150,000 condos. They were selling for $300,000.
Mhm.
Then, not more.
Yeah, then. So one of the homeowners hires a tradesperson to go into their unit to do some work. That tradesperson had a little thing that we all carry with us, a blowtorch.
Oh my God.
Do we all carry blowtorches?
Well, I do, don't you?
Everyone was kitchen.
There's so many
Small,
different
but,
uses,
yeah.
right? So I got a
When
blowtorch.
you're a plumber, you.
Yeah, he was a plumber.
Yeah.
He caught the building on fire.
Burned to the ground.
Okay, caught the building on fire.
And there's three
Buildings.
3 buildings in this project.
And I believe
It's
two
better. Yeah.
one was unharmed, am I correct? One was partially burned down and one was burned to the ground.
Mhm.
It was at least considered a complete, catastrophic
Pretty
total
much to
loss.
the ground.
And their dues were already high.
Yeah, they were
weren't
$400 or
bad.
$500.
Well, yeah, they were that.
Yeah, they were $400 or $500. So, and all of the individual owners had been encouraged to go and get insurance policies to cover. And remember, these are actual full-service condominiums. So here is the absolute crazy, horrible rub. Okay, when you own a full-service condominium, boys and girls, you own the interior paint to paint. I want you to stop and think about that for a second. Interior paint to paint. That's a box. Interior paint to paint is a box. They do not insure your kitchen. They don't insure your bathroom. They don't insure your flooring. Think about it. They
And
insure.
so it's a box in the sky.
It's a box in the sky. Okay. Interior paint to paint meant that the interior of it would belong to you. So when they rebuilt some of these, depending on the insurance that each individual owner had, some of them were rebuilt lovely, even better, nicer. Some of them were a sheetrocked box with no flooring because of the insurance.
So the rest of the story is, so these homeowners now couldn't live there anymore. They had to go find another place to live, but.
They still had a
they to
mortgage
keep making
payment
their mortgage payment on a home that burned down.
and their
And they had to keep paying their dues.
dues.
And at the end of the day, several years later,
Mhm.
the entire project, those people that lived in the standing building, all of their dues also had to go up to help pay for the reconstruction of the burned units.
And because obviously they did not, the insurance had limits, right? So, but I mean, before we can go down that bunny foo-foo trail all the way. But long story short, condominiums are not for everyone, okay? They're just not for everyone. But insurance would be certainly a place where a homeowner would be very interested to know. Here's something that I'd be interested to know. If I'm going to buy this condo, what does the insurance policy cover? What does it not cover? If I have to get a contents policy, what does that need to cover? And then you need to be talking to and not you need to be talking to, your buyer needs to be talking to a insurance agent, asking them what's going on.
It's required financing.
Correct.
And I think, and that's a result of that fire, isn't it?
Yep. So then there's audits, there's budgets, there's a financial statement, and there's reserves. Probably the two most important things I would say to you is the budget and the reserves. That's what, if you're going to go look at anything, I'd want to go look at the budget and the reserves. Now, nobody's going to ask you to interpret these, and I don't know that at some point that you should be interpreting them, but long story short, the older an association is, the longer track record, in theory, you have to take a look at how they operate the association. You're going to quickly see some gaps. When you start seeing associations that have to have assessments, that means at some point in time, somebody didn't allocate money or there was a repair that came in that was so much more. So that does mean that they're going to, nice thing is I'm going to be spreading the repair across XYZ amount of people. Bad thing means that I'm going to be paying for the repair for XYZ. Okay, so that typically happens. So that's the financials. Probably if I were going to look at a couple things, I would look at insurance and financials. Capital expenditures is going to tell you what they think is going to be coming up. This could be very much of interest to a buyer. For example, what are they thinking in the future? When are roofs going to be done? When are roads going to be done? When are they going to redo the decks? Is there going to be anything that might actually be an inconvenience to me living there?
Can you live abiding by those rules?
Correct.
Do you want to live abiding
Right.
by those rules?
Yes, ma'am.
To recap a little bit, can you just give us blow by blow what as selling licensees we should do once we've sold a condominium and the resale certificate has been provided to our buyer? What should we do next?
Well, the most important thing you need to be doing, and the scariest thing that I see, there's probably a two-layered thing here. Number one, you are responsible. You, as a licensee, are responsible for delivery to the client. Okay? You're responsible for delivery to the client.
And you
Okay?
should do that immediately.
Yeah.
And
to the lender.
The lender as well.
Yeah.
Same time.
But here's something that I do not want to see anybody doing from our company. I do not want you seeing you going and dumping a resale certificate on a lender and then having the lender get in touch with the buyer. It's your job, yours.
We're not supposed to actually
No.
do it any longer.
Right, but a lot of you will do it anyway because you're nice to us. So don't do that. You guys need to, one of the things, and I'm going to tell you a super secret, Gabe, I'm going to cover Gabe's ears. Especially if it is a one that I get on a thumb drive, I'm actually dumping it on my desktop. I'm emailing the lender, asking them what they need, and then I'm physically getting that resale certificate to that client as quickly as possible. Now, I will fly on my Thunderbolt and deliver this to them. I will leave it at the front desk if it's convenient for them to come pick it up, or I'll take it to them. Okay, but I want to act like that resale certificate is a nuclear device that I want out of my hands as quickly as possible, and I want to give it to you as quickly as possible. Okay, but what's that? And thank you very much. And then I actually need to get it, the client needs to sign for it, because that's when your clock starts tick, 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 ticking.
And here's what we need out of it. We need the budget, the minutes, and the insurance information out of it.
Okay, so I would write that down.
You want to bring the resale in the home state if they're doing the loan for the buyer.
They're so kind that
Pull
they'll
out,
copy
we'll
it.
make our copies and give it right back to you. But those are the three things we need: insurance, budget, and the minutes for the last 3 minutes. Regardless if it's quarterly, annually, monthly, the last 3
Board meetings.
The board meeting.
And actually, if you guys really want to know where the secret sauce is and where I will actually go look in a resale certificate first, is I'll go read the minutes of the board meetings. They are hilarious sometimes. Yeah. There's more action. There's more action in minutes in homeowners associations than there is in Game of Thrones sometimes. It's amazing.
The cover page is also helpful for us. That's got the association name and how much the dues are.
Yep. Okay. Now, any other, and so then you've got judgments, violation disclosure, ordinances, minutes and newsletter, and owner's registration. FYI, this should be this is tab 1 through 13. This is how Pacific Rim Properties organizes theirs. This follows the state statute on how they're supposed to organize the homeowners association and what documents are supposed to be. If you ever see a homeowners association that's missing some of these tabs, or you're saying what's going on here, it's a really thin binder or something like that, it is possible that it's a self-managed association, and it is in fact not a resale certificate. It doesn't meet the legal definition of a resale certificate. The lender's not going to accept it, and your buyer is going to be, I want to use the word jeopardy carefully, but your buyer's in jeopardy of accepting such a document. Because, correct. You should be very concerned about that, because they're not operating as they should be according to the law. And that actually means, so think about, I always tell everybody that works for us, think about one thing in the future. Someday I'm supposed to sell this bad boy. Don't be so desperate to get somebody into a condo that you don't remember that someday I got to sell this bad boy, So if this condominium association is kind of crappy right now, features becoming attractions, it could be crappier later, So you want to think about that when it comes to common interest. So one of the things I want to ask our fearless leader about is there anything that you want these fine folks to know about resale certificates that they should know at this stage of the game, or is there anything you think that we've missed?
Oh, there's a lot to know.
There is a
You do
lot to
really
know.
good job. One thing I want to clarify, when you say you dump it on your desktop and you get a copy.
I know, I told you to cover your ears. He doesn't want to do that.
When it comes in a different format, such as an electronic format, a thumb drive or a disk or something like that, I prefer that you hand that over to your client and get them to sign for it. You don't go dump it on your computer and print it off.
I knew he didn't like that.
Because that will increase your liability. If you print it off, it skips a couple pages or something like that, all of a sudden you're not getting a complete document. And we want to make sure that you are giving whatever the association or the management company has given you to give to that client.
So the thumb drive goes to the buyer client, they sign for it, how does Kelly get it?
Well, you can certainly print off the minutes and such for Kelly, because those are specific items that she needs. She will tell you, I need minutes, I need this, I need this.
So you're suggesting only print those.
Those are specific. But when you are giving it to the client, make sure that you give it to the client as it came to you.
And I've actually used the thumb drive and printed them off, if that's how they
Yeah, and that's usually what ends up happening is the licensee goes to the lender, says, hey, take what you need and give it back to me so that I can give this to my client. It's not commonly known, but a lot of properties that have an association, homeowners association, actually don't require, the law does not require that the resale certificate is generated. And that, I would always try and get one regardless. But when the dues are under $300 annually, it's not a requirement to supply a resale certificate. Now, that's also adjusted CPI.
Right.
So I can't tell you exactly where that's at, but it's probably somewhere close to $550, $600 annually, where the resale certificate is not required by law. And again, always try and get one, strive to get one. If you encounter resistance or absolute decline to be given a resale certificate, then you need to talk to management. You need to discuss that with us so that we find out why that is and possibly attack it from a different angle. Once in a while, we'll have associations. They are under that threshold. They aren't required. But even then, we want to make sure that the client gets a copy of what those dues are attributable to, what the reason for those dues are. And we want that buyer client to sign that they received that document. Usually they're recorded, sometimes they're not. But we want to make sure that they know that it covers the community well, the well front, or who knows what it might be, snow removal or something. But there's a lot of nuances with resale payments for sure.
So Gabe, if the dues are under 300, then does the statute regarding delivery of a resale apply?
It's specific in the law that it is not required to produce a resale to a purchaser when it's under 300 annually. Again, adjusted CPI.
Yes, sir.
Is there a specific form or instrument for getting buyer's acceptance?
Sure. First of all, Flex MLS has a lovely form. 99% of the time, you guys, there's going to be a form that is provided by the resale certificate itself. That's going to be typically, I would say, on the front page of your resale certificate, because FYI, the Homeowners Association wants these delivered too, right? They really do. Now, I will tell you a couple cases that you do need to know. It is possible. One of the things you do need to know is if your buyer all of a sudden decides that they do not want this property anymore, it is our job, working with the buyer, to return that resale certificate to the listing licensee. And no, we're not going to charge them for it. We're just going to give it to them because the contract says we will. Number two, if you have, the reason why resale certificates are typically not ordered on the front end when you take a listing is because if they have meetings and whatnot, they might have to be updated. Okay, so typically most listing licensees will not order a resale certificate until they have a deal in place, and not until most of the time we've moved past the repairs, knowing that your buyer is like in it to win it and they actually want to move forward and purchase this property.
But as a listing realtor, that puts your transaction in jeopardy if you delay.
Correct, absolutely.
And
But
remember, the purchase agreement is voidable by the purchaser.
up until the
Until
selling.
that resale is delivered.
And the
5
5 days.
after it's
Yes.
been delivered.
So I think the notion of delaying ordering it, waiting for the repair results,
5
puts
days.
your transaction in jeopardy, and you as a listing realtor, in my view, have responsibility to not allow that to happen. I think you should prepare
It
your.
is a delicate balance, no doubt about it.
There's no name on there, is there?
No, it's not written into the buyer's name.
So as you just said, you would give it back to the listing licensee should the transaction fall closed, you can go to the next guy, right?
And that's in the purchase
Except for
agreement.
minute updates.
But it is your obligation, and don't let your buyers be ass hats. They need to give the damn thing back, ass hats. Give the thing back. A lot of times a buyer wants to keep documents because they're mad.
Well, look,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's now in the purchase agreement.
It is
So
now
if
in
they don't give it back, they're in default, and subject to losing notice. We're not giving it back.
Right.
So before we get those money back, if it is a property governed by a homeowners association with a resale certificate, we want to get physical hold of that resale certificate prior to giving notice.
And does everybody, the one last thing, I've been asked to show people more things on Flex, and I'm happy to do so. Does everyone know that on Flex, you have a wonderful tool that lets you see whether or not homeowners associations are, whether or not your homeowners association is up to date?
Oh, I want to see that.
Sure. Yes, I do want you to remember that. So I don't know how you have your dashboard set up, but down here in your tools, you guys, there's the AHFC approved condo list, the VA approved condo list, and the HUD FHA approved condo list. Okay.
Is that going to be more current than Kelly's is?
I don't think so. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna rely on Kelly. But one of the things that I can do when I'm looking at an association, I'm never gonna hesitate to pull these up and take a look at them. Especially if I cannot get a hold of a lender, my friends.
Or the listing realtor?
Oh, yeah.
That happened to a transaction the other day. The selling licensee called me up. She goes, it says it's not FHA on here. Now he's needing to switch to conventional. And I said, just hold on. Just hold on. Let me look it up.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it was FHA and Alaska Housing.
Exactly. So one of the things I'm going to just tell you, I do believe in the verbiage trust but verify. One of the things I'm always doing, especially when it comes to homeowners association, is verify, verify, verify. And I'm not verifying with the homeowner. I'm not verifying with the previous listing. I am verifying with lenders. I'm verifying with these lists. I'm verifying with the homeowners association. And if there's any of them that are in conflict, I'm going to ask about the conflict. Well, hang on a second. I just talked to the homeowners association and you're saying it's AHFC approved and they're saying that they're having to submit. Now, maybe the answer is they're just renewing. Maybe that's the answer. But long story short, I'm making sure. One of the things we want to try and do is we always want our listings to be accurate. That's number one. We want to be able to trust the information that's in MLS. But I am shocked and amazed how many people don't do that one little due diligence piece by checking and making sure. Just do not copy off previous listings, especially when it comes to any property in a homeowners association. You are absolutely on a crash course.
Just call us because it takes 2 seconds for us to look it up.
Yep. Or walk downstairs and see if somebody's available. Okay?
Regardless of what side you're on, when you're dealing with property subject to a resale certificate, make sure that you get the signed document from the buyer having accepted or received that resale certificate or public offering. Because until you have that signed, you're in limbo. You still have 5 more days after their signature. You want to make sure that you get that signature as quickly as you can.
And I just went and again, here's where you can just quickly out of Flex, if you don't have where to accept the resale certificate or the public offering statement acknowledgement right here. It's a lovely little form that's already done in Flex. Most of the documents will come with that, but if you lost it, can't find it, or need one, MLS has a form for that.
Any questions? Thank you, Teresa.
You are so
Joel.
welcome. Thank you.
I hope you all learned something you didn't know.
Okay.
Yes, no?
Don't copy associations on your desktop. Don't do that.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
And the good stuff is in the minutes. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be reading the minutes.
The minutes are awesome.
The dirty laundry is.
Right.
Oh, it is. Yes,
I
not.
know. Like, oh my God, this person. What?
Hang around the airport watching.
Yes. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Teresa.
You're welcome. Thank you, sir.
Are you gonna be in your office?
I am. I am.
So,
So what's happening?
how you like this appraisal?
Wasn't that sweet?
Yeah.
You know, I can't hold that very long with Robert. You know that. The appraisal.
I totally want to know what's going on over there, but
I'm kind of curious
I know.
too.
no, we're on camera. So let's
Yep.
let's
We're
shut
on
it down.
camera.
FYI, shut it down.
These back